guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So today I want us to talk about how do we move through a funk. You know those moments where you just feel like all yucky inside and you can't really think straight, and maybe you know that something has shifted your mood, or maybe this has just come on you and you feel like, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel icky, to quote some toddlers? But the point is, we all go through this, whether you realize why you're in a funk or if it all of a sudden creeps up on you. Either way, I have found that there is a really productive way to move through the funk without suppressing it. And that's key. We've talked about this before. Whenever you feel any negative emotions or any heavy emotions, then we don't want to suppress it. We don't want to ignore it, right? Because ultimately they're going to manifest themselves in unhealthy ways. We want to learn how to flow with the funk, so that way we are not letting our emotions or any of our crazy thoughts really dictate how our day is going. No, we want to learn how to take control of that, how to understand what's going on within ourselves so that we can manage it in a healthy way. So if you're ready to learn about how to move through a funk, then go ahead, leave a thumbs up, and let's get started. So in order to flow with a funk, we are going to follow the acronym FUNK. The F stands for face it, feel it, and figure it out. This has to be the very first step because, again, a lot of times whenever we feel uncomfortable emotions, we want to just ignore them. We want to push them to the side because they feel uncomfortable, right? But that is not helpful. When we learn to face those uncomfortable feelings, when we learn how to just embrace them, that helps us to then figure out what's at the root of it. And listen, I know that there's some apprehension in facing these really uncomfortable emotions because if you're anything like me, you feel like, well, if I face all that pain, if I face my sadness, if I face my anxiety, it's going to get the best of me. But I'm here to tell you that is not true. When you face all of these complex emotions, they actually lose their power. So I just want you to know that. I mean, and listen, I have found myself on the ground, totally paralyzed by pain and just consumed with all of these emotions. I mean, tears running down my face. And when I let myself go to that point, you know what? I came out on the other side feeling lighter. That's right. Just because I allowed myself to process all of that pain and to feel it and to just roll with it. It's kind of like, you know, when you have a washcloth and you fill it up with water and it feels really heavy, and then when you wring it out and you let all of that water out, it feels a lot lighter. That's what it feels like when you allow yourself to process all of the emotions, especially the toxic ones. Now, some questions that can help you to figure out what's at the root may be, what's happened in the last couple of days? Because maybe that's something that you have been replaying in your subconscious and now you're feeling a little funky. Is there anything different that you're trying to adjust to? So that may make us feel a little moody and unsettled. Maybe you've had a conversation with someone recently and it didn't sit right with you. And now because you're still trying to process that, it's making you feel some heavy or complex and confusing emotions. Or is there anything on the horizon that you're anxious about? Maybe your subconscious has been trying to plan out every single detail, and because you don't have it all figured out, this uncertainty is starting to loom and it makes you feel uncomfortable, which brings about a funk and a change in your mood. So ask yourself some of those questions. I'll even drop those in the description below and some other ones just so you can start discovering, like, what is at the root of my funk? See, if you feel your emotions and when you face your emotions and you start to figure out what's at the root of it, then you'll know what to do to help you move forward. So the U in funk is for unplugging. Guys, listen, this is really key because nowadays we are so attached to our devices. You're working from your devices, you're entertaining yourself from your devices, your kids are connected to your devices. So they're always in our hand or at least within arm's reach. Because we are so connected to our devices, which also exposes us to a lot more information in the world and also a lot more information about other people's lives, all of that information can cloud and can take up space when we really need to be focusing on what is making us feel this way. One of the reasons that we need to unplug is to make sure that we are not feeling overwhelmed by all of the information that we're getting about the world through the news and also about other people's lives through social media, but also so that we can give ourselves some quiet space and be still with our thoughts and our emotions. Now, we already should be working to have a healthy relationship with technology. And if you find that you are way too attached to your devices, if that's kind of been on your mind lately, then I do have a 5-day digital detox that you can download. Just hop over to my blog. The link is in the bio below. You can download that 5-day digital detox, and it helps you just create a healthier relationship with your devices. But outside of that, just making sure that you are not looking at other people's timelines is going to help you to not compare what's going on in their life, and that's really the outside of their life, but you compare yourself to what's going on with the outside of their life to what's happening on the inside within you. So it's really important that we give ourselves that distance so that we can work on ourselves, so that we can process information that's really only important to our life in this moment and not feeling so consumed by what's happening in everybody else's life. Trust me, if you are in a funk, you need to take time to unplug. Now, the N in funk is for nurture. This is all about self-care, guys. Self-care is self-love. And when you are feeling a little bit funky, taking care of yourself is the best thing that you can do for your mental, your emotional, your physical, your soulful well-being. Like, it is so important that you pay attention with how you are treating your body and your mind. And so nurturing yourself during this time is really going to help you to move through that discomfort. What are some ways that you can nurture yourself? Well, stretching, going for a walk, taking a bath, coloring, trying something new. All of these things really help you to take care of yourself. Self-care is important always, but it's really important when you're feeling off and when you're feeling a little moody and maybe you just feel like things aren't right. Well, the best thing you can do if you need to take action is to take care of yourself. So again, if you need some tips on that, hop over to my blog. I have a ton of free resources, guys. The information is at your fingertips. So don't say you don't have any ideas, because there are plenty ideas out there. Self-care, I'm telling you guys, you gotta take care of yourself first, or you are not gonna be able to take care of anyone who you love or care about. And then finally, the K in funk is for keeping perspective. See, a lot of times when we're really moody, it's because we are replaying negative thoughts in our mind over and over and over again. And maybe at first you didn't realize why you were feeling moody, and now you started to face it, you're figuring it out, you're feeling it. As those negative thoughts are spiraling in your mind, then I want you to find truth in that. So here's a personal example. I'm a workhorse, right? Like, I work nonstop, and it's because I love my work. But I also put a lot of pressure on myself to get things done in a certain amount of time, in a certain order. And I remember when I was working on this giveaway, it was a 7-part video series. And so I needed to go record these videos. I went over to a park. I had my little selfie stick. I was ready to go. Well, the wind was blowing like crazy. There were people who were over by the basketball courts, and like, nobody ever goes over to this park. So it wasn't that, you know, I was going to a place that I knew was going to be really busy. I thought it was going to be quiet there, but there were like 8 or 9 people who decided to show up this day and play basketball on top of the weather, just not working with me. So I just felt like, man, I cannot get this done. But you know what? I pushed myself. I said, just try and get a couple done. I wanted to get all 7 done because of the timing of releasing this, but I was only able to get 3 done. And you know what? I walked away feeling pretty funky. I was like frustrated. I felt like I didn't hit my goals. And don't we all do that when we feel like we have a certain expectation or plan and it doesn't work out that way, and we get so down on ourselves, we get frustrated? But literally the elements were against me. Like, it was out of my control. So why was I getting so down on myself? Well, I recognized that that was the source of my funk. I definitely unplugged because I did not want to see everybody else who was crushing their goals, and I felt like I was not crushing mine. I took care of myself by just resting. I read a little bit. I just kind of like decompressed. That was how I nurtured myself. And then the way I was able to keep perspective was, well, hey, I got 3 of them done, so it's not like I didn't get anything done. I didn't get as much as I wanted to, true, but I was still able to get something done. And that reminded me right there that life is out of our control. Like, sometimes things do not work out as planned, but it's your response to those things that are out of your control that really shapes your quality of life. So in that moment, instead of being so frustrated that I didn't get all 7 done, I was grateful that I was able to get 3 done. The next day, I went back and I finished recording the last 4, and it turned out great. But my point is whether it's a small thing or whether it's a big disruption, we have to keep perspective. Otherwise, we're going to stay so fixated and we're going to be dwelling in this negative thought space that it becomes unhealthy. Let me share a quote with you that I heard not long ago, and it was so impactful that I'm like plastering this everywhere. Being positive may not make all things better, but being negative will always make things worse. That's why it's important to keep perspective. I know that you may be going through a trying time when you're hearing this, and maybe maybe you find yourself at the lowest of the low. And just let me say, honor that, okay? It's okay. When we go through all these things, I'm not telling you to suppress or hurry past any of these emotions, but we do have to keep perspective, because living in that unhealthy negative space bears no good fruit. But when we try to remain positive, when we look for the good, when we keep an attitude of gratitude, that helps us to move through all of these storms and find ourselves on the other side. On the other side of that is growth, more opportunities. It's a new level of fulfillment and peace and joy. So yes, there are going to be things that put us in a funk, but if you face it, feel it, and figure out what's at the root, that's going to help you to move through it. If you unplug and you create a healthy boundary so that you are not comparing what's going on the inside with you to the outside of what people are posting on their timeline, that's going to help you to move through it. If you nurture yourself and take care of your whole self, your physical, your mental, your emotional, your soulful, like that is going to help you to get through the funk. And more than anything, if you keep perspective that, yeah, some things may be bad or didn't work out as planned, but not all things are bad. All of that, combining all of this, is going to help you move through any funk with a healthy mindset. And that's what I hope for you. All right, guys, if you have any questions, then please drop those in the comments below. I'm happy to answer anything that you're just wondering. If you have anything else you want me to go over in depth, let me know. Just drop them in the comments. And if you want more information on how to build a healthy mindset, then you're gonna wanna subscribe. And make sure that you hit the bell, because then you'll be notified every week when I'm dropping new content like this. All right, guys, stay healthy, and I will see you next week.